Hello, everybody, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dan Selcke of winterscoming.net here with Daniel Roman, also of winterscoming.net. And this is Take the Black,
Hello.
the one and only show on the internet where we talk about things that the rest of the mainstream media, trademark, will not talk about, like television, movies, sci-fi, fantasy, specifically right now, House of the Dragon, the giant big Game of Thrones people show tearing up the airwaves and the streaming waves, as well as The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power,
right.
coming out in a couple like tomorrow or the next day. Two big fantasy shows enter the arena, and probably two big fantasy shows leave, but boy, it's going to be a spectacular battle while it happens. Daniel, where's your mind at these days, vis-a-vis this, that, and the other?
I mean, my mind is split between Middle Earth and Westeros. I don't, what even is life anymore? I think there's grass outside and sunlight. I haven't seen them in a while. So yeah, generally very excited, inundated with good stuff, and psyched to talk about, Rings of Power today. How about you, Dan? Where you at? How you feel? What's good?
We are going to give you guys, by the way, thanks for coming. Thanks. Hello, Kathleen. Hello, Joanne. Welcome all. Welcome one. I hope you enjoy the show today. We are going to talk about our impressions of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, because we have seen the first two episodes, and
yes,
you have not seen what we have seen, as Claudio might say. And we're going to get into it, right? And we're going to break it down. But first, let's go over some of the latest dispatches from Westeros, because, I mean, Daniel, it feels like it never kind of stopped. Like, we're watching a new Game of Thrones show. It's a very big hit. Frankly, it is okay. So I'm gonna lay a couple of facts, and then I'm gonna ask you a question. So House of the Dragon has been out for 2 weeks, and I think the premiere broke HBO premiere ratings. The second episode, the ratings actually went up, which I want to stress how rare that is for any show. Usually a new show, you watch the premiere, and then people, like you watch for the novelty or whatever, and then it goes down afterwards, and then it builds itself back up slowly if it's good. But right out of the gate, people watch the first one in record numbers, tune into the second one in higher numbers. That's just very, very rare. Honestly, the show is doing better than I expected, and I run a Game of Thrones fan site, and I'm happy they renewed it for season 2, like a couple days afterward.
Yeah, totally. It's crazy to see it ramp up like that. I am predicting right now today officially that next week is going to be even bigger. We'll see how that goes.
I'm going to say no, just because, okay, I want to be the pessimist in the room. I think it's important. I think it's a good role. I think it's a role that I can do very well.
Place your bets.
I'm going to say that because the last one was a little sleepier, there's going to be a bit of a drop off. I think overall, the way it's going, it's going to be a huge success. I hope for season 3, just like give that a thing ahead of time. But yeah, I'm just going to say that I think it'll drop a little bit just to prove it's human.
Okay.
I mean, we don't want to be in an uncanny valley situation where we're faced with a show that's just unstoppable kind of Terminator thing. That'd be creepy. But no, we're going to have a normal show that is just performing at a very, very high level. It's been so heartening to see it do so well. People do love dragons, Martha. I agree. And Julie loves Millie Alcock and not looking forward to the changeover. Hoping Emma Darcy can continue the good work Millie has done. That is a good point, because as we know, Millie Alcock and Emily Carey are currently holding this show on their shoulders as Rhaenyra and Alicent. And it's kind of weird because the marketing was all about the older actors, Emma Darcy and Olivia Cook. But I feel like they didn't really put the younger actors out in front much. And it might backfire because it feels like people have really liked them, especially Millie Alcock has been kind of a cause célèbre, a bit of a new Maisie Williams, new Sophie Turner, a new young actor to celebrate and gawk at and follow on Instagram. It is going to be hard when they switch over. I bet, I want it to be people who are like, bring back Millie, stuff like that. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I bet that's going to happen. I think out of everything that, all of the kind of chess pieces on the board right now for House of the Dragon, that's the one I'm most curious about seeing people's reactions to, is the switch to the new actors. I bet there's going to be like a period of mourning there, because it is almost like we'll be losing those characters, even though it's going to be just the same characters, but the portrayal is going to be different. It's going to be different actors. We found out one thing, I think this week, that Emily Carey talked about how, or no, I guess it was Millie Alcock said they were advised not to meet. So Emma Darcy and Millie Alcock never met to discuss Rhaenyra. Same for Emily Carey and Olivia Cook. That's an interesting choice. And like,
it's a stupid choice is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, jury's out. I cannot wait until we can discuss the older actors, because the marketing was a little weird. I didn't expect to love Millie Alcock and Emily Carey in those roles as much as I did from the marketing. And I agree with you. I think they're definitely they have fans, lots of fans. So we'll see what happens.
And of course, thanks for all the comments. But we got LCH Jeremy. I agree. Emma does have big shoes to fill. And I mean, LCH Jeremy, I get it. He didn't want the performances to influence each other, but I don't know. Speaking as a non-director, I mean, more or less. I would think it would be appropriate at least like get some of your mannerisms in line with each other, so it doesn't feel like a different character. But what do I know? I'm a non-professional. I have great ideas. Like I had ideas to not have the intro credits be as bland as they are, and maybe have some tapestry or something, which Daniel said was a good idea. We have it on tape.
I did. That happened.
Because those intro credits, what do you guys think? Because now we had a little AMA thing yesterday, but that was kind of a surprise video. I want to know what you guys think who are watching. What do you think of the new credit sequence where it's the same Game of Thrones theme song, but instead of a map where we fly over the areas we're going to visit in the episode, it is rivulets of blood running through basically I think that model of Valyria that King Viserys is building in his man cave, not unlike your dad will build his model train sets or play with Mech Warrior. And they kind of flow through it. And apparently it's about the Targaryen lineage. I'm not a giant fan of it because I think it's not as colorful as the old opening. It's not as useful. It's not really showing us anything that we can really use that episode or in general. And I think the actual meaning behind it, where it's kind of tracing the Targaryens down the generations, is not terribly clear just by watching it. You can go and find out that each seer represents a different person in the Targaryen family, and the blood is like, the bloodline to their next descendant. But I would not know that if there were people breaking it down. Whereas Game of Thrones, I loved that it was so immediate, and you just kind of knew what you were looking at, and then it was helpful to you. Honestly, my vote is either go keep the same song and go back to the map thing, because there's still going to be stuff we're going to go we'll be over the map, or just something completely new. That's my vote. I'm not a giant fan of the half measure. What do you think?
I mean, let us know what you think in the comments. It took me a while to warm up to it. I don't love that they reuse the Game of Thrones theme song. I think that feels a little exploitative to me, even though I can understand why they would make that call because it's so iconic. We all still walk around humming it, whatever. The nuances with the opening, and I don't want to say it's a more of a metaphorical opening, but like this idea of it showing how the blood of old Valyria carried on through Aegon and then down through the Targaryen lineage. I totally agree with you that's like, to the casual viewer, you will get the idea of that maybe possibly by watching it, but like so many of those characters are hardly going to be mentioned, like Aenys Targaryen, who has a funny sounding name even though it's spelled differently.
Is Aenys Targaryen on there?
Yes, he's
thank God.
Is the third sigil that's shown, or I guess technically the fourth, because there's Aegon and then there's Aegon's two sisters, and then there's Aenys, who was the second king of Westeros, and he was a bad king. who had a
forget
big
about
gaudy
Aenys.
golden crown. We can't
I
forget
bet he
about
did,
Aenys Targaryen. Yeah. So I feel like the intro, having practical intros is not a normal demand of a television show. It's just because Game of Thrones did it that we want it. Most shows have something much more like what we got.
That's true. What we got,
So,
I didn't love.
I don't hate it.
Some good comments. Like Julie, I agree with you. But yeah, I did. I like it. It's just not up to par with what we had before. And let's see. And I get what Urtak is saying over on the YouTube, that with theme music, they do the same mathematic with Star Wars movies. Yeah, where they're trying to kind of get this iconic song here over and over. I don't mind the song. I just didn't love the visuals. And someone said they would have liked to hear a slight variation on the song instead of the exact same score. I agree with that too. And finally,
yeah, same.
Did they skip Maegor, as Jay says? I think they
yes,
kind of purposely went around him because Maegor didn't have progeny, right?
Correct. Yeah, and Maegor also usurped the throne. So in the shot where you see Rhaenys and Visenya's crests, Visenya's is kind of off to the side, and Maegor was Visenya's child. And then Maegor basically usurped the throne from Aenys's children, was real awful and did a bunch of bad stuff, took like 9 wives, blamed all his 9 wives for the fact that he couldn't have children. And then the crown passed back to, I believe, Jaehaerys was the next one after Maegor. And Jaehaerys had lots of kids, which is probably the clearest one on the whole graphic is Jaehaerys, because it's just the spread of like 9 different bloodstreams, because that's how many live to be adults.
It's important.
So it's an interesting opening, but it feels like a half measure because they kept the song. I wish they'd used a different song.
I like someone else suggested a family tree. I would have dug that too. It's important for Aenys.
I mean, that's basically what they did.
But no, they didn't. It's like you can't tell. I couldn't tell what it is. Blood going through a scale model of Valyria is not a family tree. Just there's different ways. It's important for Aenys Targaryen to eat his bran flakes every morning. Okay. We also, I wanted to bring up briefly that we went viral today, everybody.
We trended on Twitter.
We got Red Wedding trending on Twitter because, and the little quick story for you. On Sunday, I was trying to get responses for our AMA thing we did yesterday, like Ask Us Anything. And I put up a question like, what was more upsetting? What was upsetting? The Red Wedding or the Emma Aaron's birth scene? And I mean, I know it's not a fully equivalent thing, but that's kind of the fun of a question like that, like putting 2 discordant things in there and see what happens.
Totally.
And it got a lot of responses. And then right-wing provocateur and shitbag Ben Shapiro retweeted us and called us very stupid, called the question very stupid, which is his, the dumbest question ever here, which is his whole thing.
We're allowed to their opinions.
No, they're not. Of course they are, but his whole thing is kind of taking any issue and how can I use it to get people yelling at each other. So, but it really signal boosted it, and we got tons and tons of responses, and it's been fun. It's been fun to go viral and just see the stuff rolling in. And most people were very thoughtful when responding, but some of them were. Mostly, I'm going to guess old Benny's followers were a little angry that we would dare ask this question. And I love when people are like, how could you ask that question? Report it. Like, you reported us for asking which of these scenes upset you more. I liked that one. I usually don't engage with stuff, but that one I was like, that's fun. That's pretty good.
I didn't see that one. That's fun.
There were a lot.
How dare you invoke the name of the Red Wedding for what? Engagement? Blaspheme. Really upset people.
Several folk did say, how dare you, which, makes sense. But okay. Anything else about House of the Dragon, Dan, before we move on?
I think we hit on the biggest things. Carice Van Houten, who played Melisandre, shared something on Instagram, just basically reminding fans, is that she is still alive. Melisandre is alive during this time period because she is real old. She's feasibly the only Game of Thrones character who could appear. Would we want her to? Would you want to see a Melisandre? Really. It'd have to be a cameo. It couldn't be anything major.
I'm generally against like even little joke things, but no, not really. I mean, if there is a way to do it naturally, sure, but I can't imagine them finding a convincing way to fold Melisandre into the events of the Dance of the Dragons, and B, like having it not feel gratuitous and just for fun and kicks. If they find a way and she's like in the background of saying, if for some reason, you know what? Oh, okay, here we go. Damon and I shouldn't spoil. At one point, Damon and a new Belle take a trip to Essos. I think they might go to Volantis. Okay, maybe they pass her on the street.
Yeah, that'd be cool. One of them drops a can and she picks it up and hands it back, and that's the beginning of her loop.
Okay, yes. Sandra is anti-litter and is helping to search for Volantis. Or like Damon unwraps a wrapper, puts it on the floor, and picks it up, and it's like, don't litter. And just like is getting really angry about it. Like, because 200 years ago, she was really into this. Like, we don't know, but we're gonna find out. But she was very much about the stuff.
The Lord of Light hates the littering. You heard it here first. I don't know if I want her after House of the Dragon using the Game of Thrones theme in a way that felt slightly exploitative to me. I'm not confident enough in their Easter eggage that I would want Melisandre to show up at this point.
I mean, I do wonder
good favor
if like the edict to use the old song was part of HBO's notes, not so much the creative choice they would have made. Because I mean, Ramin Djawadi is a talented guy. Like, I'm sure he has enough ideas to make a new theme song. But I wonder if HBO's like, look, it's the very popular show. People know it. We got to do it because we got to rub them in. And hey, it's working. I hope they what? Whoa. Miguel Sapochnik is leaving House of the Dragon.
No.
I just reading right now.
Who said that?
The Hollywood Reporter. A big shakeup side House of the Dragon. Sapochnik is exiting the show after pouring an exhausting 3 years of effort into the Game of Thrones prequel. Dragon co-showrunner Ryan Condal will now serve as the show's sole showrunner, continuing to work closely with creator George R. R. Martin. Sapochnik also entered into a first book deal with HBO, developed new projects and remains executive producer. Okay, so he's executive producer, but he's not going to show run. And the production has hired Alan Taylor, who did Ned Stark's Execution, to be a director and executive producer on season 2. Working within the Thrones universe for the past few years has been an honor and a privilege, especially spending the last 2 with the amazing cast and crew of House of the Dragon. Sapochnik says in a statement, I am so proud of what we accomplished. And with
wow.
I'm going to read,
that's Hollywood Reporter? That's huge news.
It is. I'm going to read out Sapochnik's statement. Sapochnik, the guy who runs House of the Dragon with Ryan Condal, and for the first season has stepped down, and he's going to be not really replaced because Ryan Condal's going to stay on as the main showrunner, but they're going to hire Alan Taylor, who did Baelor, the episode where Ned's head is, to direct some stuff next year. And Sapochnik says in a statement, working within the Thrones universe for the past few years has been an honor and a privilege, especially spending the last 2 with the amazing cast and crew of House of the Dragon. I am so proud of what we accomplished with season 1 and overjoyed by the enthusiastic reaction of our viewers. It was incredibly tough to decide to move on, but I know that it is the right choice for me personally and professionally. And as I do so, though, I am deeply comforted to know that Alan will be joining the series. He's someone I've known and respected for a long time, and I believe this precious series could not be in safer hands. I am so glad to remain a part of the HBO and House of the Dragon family. And of course, I wish Ryan and his team success and all the best with season 2 and beyond. And there's more statements from Alan Taylor himself. He's looking forward to it, if you can believe it. And HBO saying, yay, Sapochnik, you've done great work. And he's still working at HBO. What do you make of that, Dan?
I'll be honest, I'm kind of in slight shock right now because that's just huge news to just get. Like this just dropped right now as we're talking on the podcast. And I'm a huge Miguel Sapochnik fan. That was kind of the thing that got me in the door on being confident about House of the Dragon, because he did a lot of my favorite episodes of Game of Thrones. I think he did a lot of some of the best. Yeah, Hard Home. Hard Home is one of my favorites. So that was really exciting. It's weird to think of him leaving the show, but I can also see how the dynamic might allow for that a little more than, like, say, if David Benioff or Dan Weiss had left. Like, they were building the show kind of in an equal partnership. And from everything we've heard so far, the dynamic with House of the Dragon is kind of George R. R. Martin helped create it. It was his idea. Ryan Condal is the keeper of the lore and the storytelling and the writing. And then Miguel Sapochnik brought the directorial eye to the show to kind of help marry those concepts to a really compelling series. So I think it's interesting because Sapochnik is leaving as showrunner. Alan Taylor is stepping in as a director and executive producer, but he will not be a showrunner on House of the Dragon. Condal is now the sole showrunner of the show, still working closely with George R. R. Martin. I just think that's huge news. I'm not sure how to feel about it. You're getting our unbridled live reactions here, people. So yeah,
reality TV.
I feel shook. How do you feel about it? And let us know in the comments. How do you guys feel?
Yes, do. Yeah, that's big. I mean, and they drop it now when we're talking about this. Whew. I mean, it's clearly not an it's clearly an amicable split, so it's not like he quit or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm disappointed. Of course, I love that guy, and I mean, obviously, he already directed everything for season 1, so season 1's in the can. I mean, maybe it was a ton of work. I remember him saying that he was hesitant to get involved with the show in the first place because he'd, worked in Westeros for a long time already, and
he did the long night. That's like
long stuff.
55 weeks.
I'm sure,
or 55 days of night shoots.
Heading forward, they are going to be doing some insane kind of big set piece stuff. Maybe he didn't want to be involved in that again for like 3 years of his life while his kids, go to elementary school, middle, high, college, and have families of their own, miss all of it. But it's disappointing. I hope it turns out well. The show's doing really well. I'm sure they'll invest in whatever they need to make it good. That's too bad because he was very talented.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting House of the Dragon season 2 is going to be a very different beast. I think I'm so curious to see what they do for it, because we have this dynamic of skipping through time on season 1. Presumably season 1 is going to end with the Dance of the Dragons war starting, and then it becomes much more linear. Then we're, instead of looking at 28 years of time over season 1, we're looking at 2 years for the entire war, 2 to 3 years. And that is going to be split potentially over 1 or 2 seasons. We don't know if the show is going to run 3 or 4. So yeah, man, that's some big news. Some big news. I'm in shock.
All right. It almost,
I can understand why he. Yeah, I can understand why he would leave.
He betrayed us. But I'll read more about it later.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should move on, I think, because we have a big thing to get to today. Although we could just sit here in 10 minutes of shock silence if you like. That makes some good internet TV. Okay.
Yeah, that might be good.
So, Daniel, before that news bomb dropped, our main talking point today was going to be Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which is a new Amazon series set in the second age of Middle Earth, coming to Amazon Prime Video this Friday and maybe Thursday, depending on where you live. Huge series, hundreds of millions of dollars spent on it. Jeff Bezos' little precious baby. You and I have both seen the first 2 episodes, and I guess the question is, what'd you think?
Yeah, I've been psyched for this because, again, sticking with the unbridled thoughts, we haven't really talked about this between us yet. I went in expecting it to be bad, or really nervous it would be bad. I think a lot of fans are in that position where they just don't know what to expect. And the idea of Amazon, which is kind of unproven with these kinds of enormous shows, what they would do with something like this. But pleasantly surprised, I think I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. I've been thinking about it basically since I saw it for days. It's very cinematic. It feels more like watching movies to me than television, like in the way it's shot, in the scope of the scenes, in the soundtrack, which I could gush about for the next 40 minutes. It's Bear McCreary. I do. I think the soundtrack does a ton of heavy lifting for this show. Like, it's one of the things that makes it not feel like regular television, because it has like a movie score. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it has some challenges ahead, like getting us as invested in the characters, because it feels to me a little like the main character they're getting us invested in is Middle Earth. We're back in Middle Earth. Ooh. Enjoy it. But overall, yeah, I loved it. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. I mean, so you are like a music college graduate, I think. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
That's true.
So
no, that's true.
The music hit you. I guess for me with music, like, unless it's, I don't like, noticeably bad or like maybe spectacularly good, I don't really notice it. I liked the music.
Okay.
Okay. None of it offended me. I can't say I remember it. Like, I can't hum a tune from it, but it was nice. Bottom line is, Julie's looking forward to it. I liked it too, Julie. I really did. I watched the first 2 episodes. The first one was a bit sleepy. They were kind of introducing things. The second one I liked a lot more. And I like how bright it is. I like how it almost feels a little more like Game of Thrones in some ways than House of the Dragon does, because whereas House of the Dragon sort of preserves the kind of grimy, gritty, shocking tone of Game of Thrones, the Rings of Power is this thing where we have lots of different characters spread out all over the map, and they're all kind of on their own little tracks, and they're going to intersect eventually, but we don't know how. And it kind of it does feel like soap opera, but make it $100 million fantasy big. It looks amazing. Like, I know we talked a lot about like how much money they're spending, but you really do see it, whether they're stranded in the middle of the ocean, or the hobbits are building a whole village, or the orcs look great. The orc with their long like the orcs things.
Yeah. I was surprised by the orcs.
The orc was cool. I liked it. There's Khazad-dûm, the dwarf's place. That was kind of the visual showstopper, and it has a likeness to it. You know, some people have talked about how what's going to win, House of the Dragon or the Rings of Power. Watching the Rings of Power, it's like, this is nothing like remotely like House of the Dragon. You know, the one is just, it's so dark and dour and for C-section-tastic. And then the Lord of the Rings is so very buoyant, and it does feel like more like a sweeping, fun adventure with these bright, colorful, often cheerful characters, and kind of a more epic posture than this kind of historical fiction family drama we have in House of the Dragon. I really liked it a lot. I did think, I guess I agree with you that, you know, I'm not sure I do. Like, you said that it was more about Middle Earth than it was the characters. I liked the characters. I liked the dwarves especially. I guess some of them are a little bit
great.
Kind of playing second fiddle to some of the environments and just the huge fact of the show. But I thought some of them punched through.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what you just said is pretty much how I feel. Like, in terms of maybe slightly playing second fiddle to the punch of, here we are, look at Khazad-dûm. Like, right? That's the first thing you said was Khazad-dûm was a showstopper. Not Durin the Fourth is a showstopper. So they know where the strengths are in that way. He was great. I do think the characters are good. There's some that are hit or miss. I didn't love Arondir and Bronwyn, who are a human village healer and elf warrior. This is not spoilers. It's been very plainly talks about in the marketing that they have like a star-crossed romance, because every Tolkien story needs to have an elf and non-elf mixed romance, because Tolkien did that in the Silmarillion. So everyone goes back to that, and we'll find some way to insert one.
I'm shocked you recall their names, honestly. They were so dull.
I don't remember there are definitely a lot of names I don't remember. The only reason I remember theirs is because I've written about them a few times now. But like Nori was probably my favorite character. She's the main Harfoot character. The Harfoots, which are basically like prehistoric hobbits, they are a blast. They are a big part of what gives the show its fun vibe at times. Like, this is the kind of thing, a while back we did like parents' guides for some shows, like House of the Dragon. The parents' guide was basically, why are you considering watching this with your kid? You should seek help. The Rings of Power is the kind of thing you could watch with kids. And I don't mean that to knock it. It's still sophisticated and enjoyable, but it is just that accessible, like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, that there's nothing that's going to give people like stress nightmares or trigger them like Emma Aaron's birth scene or anything like that. I agree with you that these are different enough shows that they totally can coexist.
Oh, 100%. I feel like The Rings of Power having two showrunners, House of the Dragon having two showrunners, Game of Thrones having two showrunners. I feel like it's
a magic
I guess
number.
that just kind of was set by Game of Thrones. They're doing it because the shows are such big endeavors. I'm just worried about Ryan Condal. I'm worried about House of the Dragon now. I'm going back to that. I can't help it. You need two people on this.
It's fair.
But the show is good.
Fair.
The Rings of Power is fun. I'm hearing people, Julie asks how many episodes are there. There are 8, Julie, to start off with. Joanne, going to our theater to see the 2 episodes in 40 minutes. Oh, really? Tonight? Oh, have fun, Joanne. I think they are
enjoy.
They would work on the big screen quite well. I hope you enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And tell us what you thought. And as for LCH, Jeremy saying, not expecting much, saw some really bad reviews, and already Bezos doing damage control. That statement about showrunners not listening to his advice, I mean, I read that. I got more of the idea he was just kind of being self-deprecating and having a little fun with the press. And the reviews are pretty good from what I've seen.
I haven't really seen too many. Yeah, I haven't seen too many really like outright negative reviews. That Bezos quote, that was totally a joke he made at his own expense at the London premiere. It's not an actual statement he put out as damage control.
Trying to be human.
Yeah, I don't know, man. LCH Jeremy, I'm curious to hear what you think of this show once you see it. Because I'll be honest, like from the trailers are abysmal compared to the show. But I can't think of a recent example of marketing doing such a bad job to sell me on a show that was actually great as The Rings of Power. Because with the trailers, with the marketing, I was just expecting it to be kind of bad or garbage or like CW elves, which is something someone said to me that I can't unhear. And it was none of those things. It was much better than I expected. So yeah, I'm curious to see how people react to this and if that pleasant surprise spreads.
It was very
there's
fun.
A lot of stuff to like. Yeah, it was.
It's very fun. I liked it a lot, and I think folk are going to like it because it is very big and bold and fun and pretty. Will it be enough to kind of not save Amazon, but like from what I heard, this is basically what Amazon's betting the farm on. Like, if this show has to be the best show they've ever done, or they're going to rethink some things. Like they'll still make content, of course, but if this show isn't the biggest show in the history of Amazon, I think they're probably going to pull back from the big expenditures like this.
I think that's fair, honestly. I read that recently too, that this is kind of like they're going to rethink their streaming strategy if this doesn't work, because they've wanted a water cooler show so bad that can, break out of its niche market. Like The Boys is great,
like
but
The
Boys is
and
kind
The
of
Wheel
niche.
of Time, kind of, they both have their fans, but didn't quite get there.
Exactly. And I think if they can't do it with this show, I don't know what they can do it with, because like, I think that's fair. They spent $500 million almost on this season of television. And I think it shows. I think it shows that they've put so much effort into this and so much money into this. A lot is going to depend on where it goes from here. You know, I can't vouch to the overall story of the thing quite yet. But from what I've seen, this feels like it should be their swing for the fences. This doesn't work. There's something wrong.
I mean, I am intrigued by it because those trailers showed us that the weirdest thing was the bearded man who falls to Middle Earth in a comet, which is like, I know the Lord of the Rings pretty well. That's a new one. And I was intrigued by it in the trailers, and I'm intrigued by it now that I've gotten more details, but still not enough. Who is that guy?
Same.
I know that we can't like talk fully about it, but like, is there anything? Do you have any speculation you can do right now that doesn't break embargo? Who is that guy?
I mean, not anything that we haven't said.
Who's that guy?
Is he some? Is it the Valar? I think he's a demigod of some kind. That's my guess for him. Because, you know, if you're not a demigod, you probably don't survive falling out of the sky like that. Yeah, I don't have any too strong theories about that yet. I'm very curious to see where it goes. This show feels really unpredictable, which I like. Like, have you thought about that at all? Just how House of the Dragon, it's like we have a set like source material and like very clear trajectory for what the show's about. And the Rings of Power, it's like, you know, Sauron's going to come back at some point because we know that from the Lord of the Rings movies. But beyond that, like, I have no idea what's going to happen for most of this show beyond some big bullet points. How about you?
They have a nice kind of a fan of characters that we don't know who they are. Like, they're doing a good job of working within the limits of the source material, because the Second Age is very kind of vaguish. So they can, even if I know, well, I don't know what Galadriel does in the Second Age, really. Even though I know that Numenor will fall eventually, because that's like a 40-year-old book.
That's the main thing. Yeah, main thing of the Second Age.
But they're able to navigate it in a way that that I don't know what's going to happen really in the details at all. And even in the broad strokes, I only know the broadest strokes, and that's still not enough for me to get lethargic or bored. I was going to say one thing about that Comet Man. He better not be one of the wizards. He better not be Gandalf or Sauron or any of those guys, because that would violate canon, and I'm not going to stand for that. The wizards came at the beginning of the Third Age, and they came on boats, and Gandalf met Círdan, and Círdan gave him one of the rings. I forget which one. And he was like, here, take this. He did not come in a comet. That is against what was written. And it better not be Gandalf.
I can get behind. What if he came on a comet? He hung out with Harfoot to explain why he enjoys Hobbit company so much. And then he took one boat away so he could take a different boat back later.
What is that? He like sailed around the tip to just go back to the Grey Havens? No, stupid. No, he didn't come. It is
stupid. I hope that doesn't happen.
I'm not the kind of guy who gets really up in arms about canon violations, but that one is set down explicitly. He comes in the Third Age, not before, not during the Second. So I'm just worried he's like a magic beard man. I don't want them to do anything silly.
I am hopeful that it's not a wizard. I do agree with you on that, because I think there's just so much more for them to explore that is actually based in the Second Age. How would having someone like Gandalf change things like that showdown at Mount Doom, which we saw at the beginning of the Lord of the Rings movies, where Isildur goes to throw the ring in and he can't do it? How would that have changed if Gandalf was just there chilling? So yeah, I hope that's not the route they go. I hope this is something else. I think you told me it can't be Tom Bombadil, which makes me a little sad, because give us some Tom Bombadil.
Because he's so what is he? But there's no reason.
Yeah.
There's no compelling reason for it to be. Julie
Is there
asks,
ever a reason for Tom Bombadil?
no. Julie asks, what you gonna do about it? I'm gonna rage and I'm gonna get angry. I'm gonna wave my arms in the air until I get some attention. That's what I'm gonna do about it.
That's right. He's gonna watch the Rings of Power or House of the Dragon instead.
And sulk, yeah. Cosmic Armor Superman asks you, Daniel, is there any update on Halo Season 2? Is there?
I know it's been renewed for a second season. The latest thing I heard is that Paramount is starting to think of it as a bigger franchise and consider other stories in that universe, which makes me a little nervous, but it's kind of what all the studios are doing. I believe Halo is, if it hasn't started shooting season 2 yet, it will be soon. I believe it was scheduled to late in the summer. So yeah, Halo Season 2 is in production. It is definitely happening. I'm excited for that. I enjoyed the first. That's another one where I expected to be total garbage. And for the record, not as good as the Rings of Power. Out of the gate, the Rings of Power is a much better show than Halo was. But I enjoyed Halo a lot more than I expected to. So we will have updates on that when there are some more for sure.
Cool, we will. And as Julie says, that will help. It will help. People are going to pay attention to me. They can't ignore this.
They can't not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Daniel, do you have anything that you're watching lately, or anybody out there? Anything you're watching that you want to sound off about?
Oh, man. I mean, House of the Dragon and the Rings of Power.
Yeah, more or less.
Obviously. Who has time for other things?
Who has time?
No. What else? I finished The Sandman. Which I liked a lot. The Dream of a Thousand Cats did not disappoint. Been keeping up with She-Hulk, which I've been enjoying. It's a Marvel show, but it's a really fun Marvel show, which I think is maybe where Marvel does their Marvel thing best, is when they're embracing the fact that they're fun. And I also saw The Black Phone, Ethan Hawke movie, horror movie, kidnapping supernatural story based on a short story by Joe Hill. That was excellent. The writer and director from Doctor Strange returned to do that. They did Sinister with Ethan Hawke. It was like all of their first movie they all did together. They got the band back together for The Black Phone, and it was great.
I heard it was good.
You, Dan?
Yeah.
What have you been watching?
I mean, same as you.
It was
just I'm same as you. House of the Dragon, The Rings of Power. I watched The Rehearsal on HBO, which I'm finding very interesting.
Oh, cool.
Have you heard of that at all? That's where Nathan
I've heard
Felder
of it. I haven't watched it.
does like a reality show scripted combo where I don't know how to explain it. It's unpredictable and weird. I'm going to watch more of it.
Okay.
Watching more of the Orville here and there. Watching that Harley Quinn show today. That's cute. That's a fun little 20-minute.
How is that?
Shot of adrenaline. It's fun. I like it a lot. I don't always like adult cartoons, but when I do, I like that one. It's funny, it's zippy,
Nice.
it's got good punchlines, the jokes come fast and furious. I like a good fast joke show. Yeah, that's about it. And I'm glad it's sticking
Cool.
around. Here's
It's nice to see.
As Julie says, she's watching House of the Dragon. You should try it, it's quite good.
Nice. Way to sling free advertising for the show. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I might check it out, Julie. I'll see if I can fit it into my schedule. All right.
Maybe.
Beyond that, anything else, Jim, before I go to our final segment?
I don't think so. Those are the main things I've been watching. Are there any movies coming out? I guess Spider-Man's back in theaters, or it's about to be, with more fun stuff. Will you go see that? Yeah,
No.
They're releasing it with like 10 minutes of extra footage, I think. No Way Home.
Oh, okay. I'm good. How about you?
I don't know if I'll go see it. I will probably go see Avatar. The first Avatar is being released in theaters, I believe, next month too. And if you have never seen Avatar in a theater with the 3D glasses, it is a totally different experience and very worth the time.
I think when I saw it in 2009, I saw it in a 3D theater, but I didn't have any 3D glasses. I believe that's true. I didn't know what to really handle.
You should go see it.
I thought it was an interesting directorial choice to have two kind of pictures, kind of just right next to each other, but slightly apart the entire way through. I thought it was kind of cool. On the horizon. Beyond that, Daniel, should I go on to our WiC News Lightning Round, a world famous one?
Let us lightning. I think it's a good time.
This is when we go over a succession of stories we did not have time to get to in the main body of the show and give our 20-second reactions. Daniel, who's going first this time?
I think you asked me first. It doesn't make too huge a difference.
All right, I'm gonna hit
but you asked me because I want to talk about this one.
I'm asking you first. Daniel, I'm sorry to say that Netflix has canceled its Resident Evil show. Are you in mourning?
No, I shed exactly 0 tears. I did not enjoy that show. I've just been playing the Resident Evil 2 remake instead. It is a much better Resident Evil. I'm not too sad to see the show go. Not a huge surprise. It had very little in common with the games.
And we're out. That was the last we'll
take that, buzzer.
Ever discuss Resident Evil on this thing. Okay.
For now. All right, Dan. So the Umbrella Academy, speaking of things that were not canceled, the Umbrella Academy was renewed for a 4th and final season, which is what they wanted, was to end with season 4 at Netflix. Are you overjoyed?
Not overjoyed, but I'm happy for them. I think it's a good show. And we're kind of, a lot of networks put bets on these big shows in the last couple of years, and not all of them are really sustainable for like the long haul. But I'm glad it's gonna go out on its own terms. And it was a fun show. It's a good show, and good for it. Goodbye, Umbrella Academy. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. And Daniel. Okay. Stranger Things season 5. The writers have revealed that we're gonna have 8 episodes of the 5th and final season of Stranger Things. That's right, 8?
Yeah, 8 episodes. The writer's room revealed a picture that had a whiteboard. They're planning out the episodes, and there are 8 of them. I think this is fine. I'm not sad or anything. It won't be 9. That's kind of in Stranger Things format. It shifts back and forth between 8 and 9 episodes every other season. So, sounds good to me.
Cool.
What they forgot to mention is episode 8 will be 5 hours long.
Sure. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Longer than ever.
All right.
You're probably
Dan.
right.
So George R.R. Martin, the writer of A Song of Ice and Fire, creator of House of the Dragon, all those other titles that we know and love so well, he wanted Game of Thrones to run 10 seasons or more, perhaps 12 or 13. Would you have tuned in for 13 seasons?
No, I don't think the show would have. I don't think that would have been a good move for the show. George R. R. Martin tends toward large, and that's fine. And I wanted more of the show. I didn't want that much more of the show. I think there is something to be said for knowing, for like being able to pay something well and get out when you're under top. So that would have been too much, but I'm glad it got what it did. I wish I'd have gotten more, but not that much more. All right.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Speaking of,
as far as talking about things that are extended to greater sizes, his Dark Materials producer, I think it's Jane Trapman or something, wishes the show could have run for 9 seasons, even though it's going to end with the upcoming 3rd, which apparently is hard to adapt, according to author Philip Pullman.
Yeah. So I don't think she really wanted it to be 9 seasons. She's just kind of saying she wishes it could have gone on longer.
Sure. Yeah.
They've done a season a book. It's the right amount. They've kind of stretched out some bits. Philip Pullman, he apologized to the creative team on the show because book 3, he said, I left some problems for you guys because book 3 is complicated.
The Amber Spyglass. Julie coming through with the emojis.
It's going to have those weird elephant creatures. I don't remember the name of. They ride
Neither
around
do
on
I.
wheels.
Mulefa.
Mulefa, that's it.
Mulefa.
All right.
Useless information.
From Mulefa to Ezra Miller. So
Great.
Ezra Miller, he tried to make nice with the Warner Brothers studio execs after going on what basically amounts to a multi-country wide crime spree.
Not
and now
multi-country.
Ezra says they're getting help. Oh, multi-state?
It was like Hawaii and then like the Northeast,
And Vermont.
but
Okay.
not different countries.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was different countries.
I'm
he went on just
sorry.
but I mean, like a wide geographical distance. Ezra Miller, what a story. This person just getting arrested, throwing chairs at people, grooming kids, wants to save the Flash movie, basically, accused of all those things. So they've made nice with the executive, just apologize. I think it'll probably work, honestly. I think they've put enough resources into this that they'll want to salvage that movie. Okay. And
yeah, I think you're probably right.
Love the elephant emoji, Julie. Thank you. Okay. Oh, here's an interesting one. J.K. Rowling, apparently, according to her, turned down appearing in the Harry Potter reunion special because she wanted to, not because she was shut out. This is what she is claiming in a new interview.
Yeah, so there was the Harry Potter movie reunion special on HBO Max. J.K. Rowling wrote the books. She's come under a lot of controversy for basically anti-trans rhetoric. And yeah, apparently we all assumed she just wasn't asked. She says she was asked, but it was about the movies, not the books. So she just decided maybe she'd sit this one out. Yeah, not sure if I believe her, but that's fair.
I'm not sure if I believe her either, but whatever, it's not that important.
80-20
and finally,
split.
one more. 80-20
yes.
split.
All right. So we're going to end on some good news, which I will probably butcher the pronunciation of.
Oh, yeah.
So Jack Gleason, who played Joffrey Baratheon in Game of Thrones, he got married to his longtime girlfriend, actress and comedian Roisin O'Mahony.
I'm sure you're fine.
It went better than the Purple Wedding.
Yeah, I mean, because he didn't die. Good for him. Good for Joffrey. Good for Jack Gleason. He got married. I'm sure the wedding was very nice. Nobody died. His fiance's grandmother didn't poison him and kill him. So good for him. Happy. Yay, marriage and life stuff. Go Joffrey.
Yeah.
I also got one question from Julie as all the emoji today, just on it like everywhere.
Nice.
Cosmic Armor Superman asks, what movie are you most excited for? Marvel's Black Panther or DC's Black Adam? I mean, for me, that Black Panther trailer looks really cool. So I'm actually sort of looking forward to it, which I didn't think I would be because Marvel was kind of tired on it. But I liked that trailer a lot. The one that I think it was Comic-Con. So I'm looking forward to that one more. Daniel?
I kind of scoffed to myself when you read that question, because it's just no contest for me. It's Black Panther, Wakanda Forever all the way. That is going to be a special movie, even though Marvel has kind of ground itself into the ground a little bit with its constant content mill. It's the same director, writer who did the first Black Panther, but kind of all the things they went through in that production with the loss of Chadwick Boseman and basically having to rewrite the whole movie. I think that's gonna be a special one. So definitely
interesting. Yeah.
Sorry to The Rock.
I'm pretty curious. The Rock will be just fine. And that is our show, everybody. We are doing, we're here every Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time here on the Winter is Coming Facebook page and the Winter is Coming a YouTube page, where we just do this, rap about all things sci-fi, fantasy, movies, and television. We are also doing special shows on Sunday nights after each and every new episode of House of the Dragon, where we review the new episode the second after it's over. Look for us at the same places, the Facebook and YouTube page. Pretty much after they're done, we're going to try to go a little sooner this time. So when they're done, we'll have a waiting room open, hopefully already. and we're going to go into it lickety split. And beyond that, we are also available in podcast form wherever podcasts are available, be that Google Play, iTunes, or elsewhere. That's our show. Thanks for coming. Hope you have a good night, Miguel, and pray for House of the Dragon Season 2. Goodbye.
Take care.